everybody, I'm Rhinocio, and today I'm drawing my, not D&D group, but my role-playing group in the style of this really cute Pusheen GIF that I found. So this is going to be a little bit of me going on about the characters in my party, and also showing you guys how to make a GIF. So I start off by doing a sketch, obviously. I've got the little Pusheen GIF that I liked up in the corner there so I can try my best to emulate the style. Originally I did actually try drawing the forest scene, then I'm like, no, our party, so far the story, we've spent our first night in a barn, so I figured that would be more appropriate to draw. And then there's been a running joke that our fire elemental, our fire genasi, I think you'd call it if it was D&D, would be sitting in the barn with his hair all alight, and we'd all be kind of crowding around him like that one picture of all the teenage boys and the dude's head on fire. So I wanted to do a GIF of his hair sort of lighting up the barn and all of us sort of snuggling around it. So it's actually a little bit tricky figuring out how to pose everyone, because so far where we've gotten in the story, none of our characters really get along all too well. Some of them already know each other, but we've been playing a text-based game. So because a lot of us have issues staying focused, a lot of us have ADHD, or keeping track of what's happening when it's all in an audio format, or just do better like storytelling or feeling more comfortable role-playing through text, that's actually how we've been structuring the game. So there's a couple people on there that write regularly, a bunch of us do like our own original writing or fanfic or whatever quite frequently, and then others not so much. So we get an interesting mix of writing styles, but so far we've actually done quite well in telling a story, I think, and sort of getting our characters used to each other. I've actually been transcribing everything, so maybe eventually we'll have like a whole story written out of whatever our adventure ends up turning into. We're also playing with a different system than most people are probably used to. Same idea as D&D, except we're playing Dungeon World, which is powered by the Apocalypse system, so it tends to use just 2d6 for all of your rolls as opposed to a d20 and whatever other dice that you want to have for all your different spells or all your different attacks or whatever. And one of the really nice things about this system is that you're not shoved into playing a particular kind of character. You don't have to be an elf or an orc or like some very specific archetype or a very specific role. There's all kinds of different homebrew classes, and as far as whatever kin you want your character to be, you can kind of just do whatever you want. So my character's an anthropomorphized cow. She's the grumpy looking one in the upper right hand corner. She's been very standoffish with everyone so far. She tends to talk with long O sounds, kind of like a mooing verbal tick. She's been very cryptic so far. Nobody knows how old she is or what her deal is or why she's such a jerk, but her name's Willow Walker and I'm super fond of her. I've also used the opportunity to do as many puns, as many play on cow words as possible. So there's a lot of like, she hoofed it out of there, or she lows when she's talking about something, or tosses her head a lot. I've been having fun with it. We also have our serpent creature, Sal, who's an oracle, which I thought was really interesting. She's the only one of us that seems to have any sort of competence. We'd be lost without her, honestly. She's the only, well, I shouldn't say the only, but she's very much more diplomatic than the rest of us tend to be. Except for maybe Dren. He's the one on the far left, the one that looks like an orc. He's actually a bugbear in disguise, but we haven't figured that out yet. Anyway, he seems like a sweetheart. He's more of a hugbear, and he doesn't really care for conflict. He's baby. On the bottom right is Brenda, who's our like 40-something-year-old Midwestern mom character who's probably taken a few too many pucks to the head. She's really sweet. She's like sweet as pie and an absolute unit, and we love her. And then Killen, who I think I already mentioned, is our fire genasi who's in the middle of the room there looking really perturbed. He's very punk rock and very protective of Sal, which is super sweet to watch in real time. And then there's fan favorite Pushishti, who's one heckin' weird dog. He's actually a dragon, but looks like a 6-legged horned borzoi dog. I think that's how you say it. Anyway, that's our disaster squad, and I wanted to surprise my friends by drawing us all together because it's the first time I think any of us have done that. I thought the style of the Pusheen GIF was really, really cute, and I wanted to try to emulate it. And I thought it was going to be really, really easy because it's so round and simple, but as it turns out, following somebody else's art style is a bit of a challenge. So you can see I went through like 4 different layers here. I ended up with 2 layers in the background and like 3 or 4 layers with the characters. I kind of initially just sketched it all out and slapped on some lines. I was like, that's gonna be fine. But then I realized the lines were really like chunky and wonky and crappy looking. So I was like, okay, I'll do a little bit more focused line art. So I went in closer and I did focused line art with the characters, and then I realized the background looked super wobbly compared to them, so I had to redo that. Anyway, this probably could have taken me only an hour and a half, but I took 3 hours to do it because I kept fiddling with things and redoing things. But the basic idea here was to still have little bits of the image animated, and in order to do that, I had to have a couple layers of line art and then a couple layers of color. So basically what I did is created one base line art that I knew was going to be the sort of level 1, the standard, and then I did a flat color layer to that, and you can see while I'm sketching I'm actually leaving off the bits like people's eyes and Sal's tongue that I know I want to animate. And then once I'm happy with the line art and the color, I duplicate the line art and then erase or add in the parts that I want to have animated. So if in the first layer of line art I have one character with their eyes open, the next layer I might erase that and draw them with their eyes closed. Doing a GIF like this is like really simple animation, so you don't have to really do in-between frames if you don't want to. So there's no frames where the characters are like halfway blinking or anything like that. Killen's hair, because I wanted it to look like moving fire, I did draw separately on all 3 layers. Everybody else basically just got 2 frames of the same thing and then 1 frame where they were blinking or their mouth was moving or something like that. And then I created 3 luminosity layers, which are basically like a glowy, half-transparent layer that makes colors look really bright. So I used that to draw out areas of highlight where the flame light would be flickering on people and objects in the room, and I switched that up for each layer as well. So in the end I end up with a color layer for the background, a color layer for all the characters, 3 sets of line art, and 3 sets of luminosity. I also ended up putting an overlay layer just because I like to mess with the overall color tone of the drawing after, like when I get near the end of it. You don't have to do that, it's just personal preference. Then once I was happy with the drawings, I saved them all as individual ping files. Then I brought them over to this easygif.com website, which is super easy to use. You basically just plug in the images you want, put a delay of how long you want the images to be there. So I have mine at 60 frames per second. At least I assume that's what that means. I basically just put 60 delay between each. And then I just slapped the make a GIF option, got my image, checked it over to make sure it was all cool, and then hit save, and then bum-ba-da, there you go, you've got yourself a GIF. So I hope that was helpful to you all. If you've got any questions, feel free to shoot me a comment and I'll answer as best I can. And if you want to stick around to see more of this kind of stuff, I've got a few other ideas for tutorials. Let me know if there's anything else that you'd like a crash course in. And yeah, if you want to hang out in the future, feel free to subscribe, and I will see you then. Later.